All right, so a couple things up here. So far, this would be, that you have on your packet. Research planner. This is going to be the first thing, one of the first things that we're going to be doing. This is going to be next Friday that you're going to be responsible for being able to submit that. So next Friday is going to be March the 29th. 5-argument organizer, don't worry about that yet. You're going to have a parliamentary procedure quiz on the 29th. And then the one thing that is not listed on here that was on the slide that we have for you, you are going to submit your formal bill submission to me by Sunday, March the 31st, on my mother's birthday, to honor her. The reason I need it Sunday night is on April the 1st, on Monday, we're then going to run through everyone's bill. So I want to have them by 8 o'clock so that I can compile them, print them out in the morning, get them in order and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll be able to review them. So you, honestly, I think you'll probably be submitting your bills to me really by Friday, but by Sunday, March the 31st would be the deadline for it. It is a first come, first serve in the sense that if Mackenzie and Carrick have like bills that are pretty much the same topic, Mackenzie submits hers first, you're going to have to submit a second one, to kind of end up taking its place. So it also kind of gives us a deadline to know what you have to have by. But I think we'll know what everyone else is going to be doing, that we really shouldn't have to worry about too much when it comes to bills doubling up and all of that kind of stuff. So bill submission is going to be on the 31st. This stuff's going to be by the 29th. And then all these things are going to be coming a little bit later on. You can see when it comes to Student Congress, there's going to be a fair amount of points. And there's really about 10 more points that's not listed here because of your bill submission. Essentially, though, your Student Congress grade is going to be 100 points. So you get these will all be separate assignments, but for Student Congress, 75% of it's going to be made up by your speech, and there is a rubric that's within the packet. The other 25 points are going to be made by you giving pro and con speeches and asking questions. So we started asking questions last time just to kind of get the feel for it. Some of the questions that you asked were really good. Some of the questions that you asked would not work in Student Congress. So for example, if you were to go, this is more of a comment than a question, we're not going to allow you to speak. Sorry. So basically you're going to be asking fairly direct questions where you're trying to gain more information and things like that. The part that folks kind of struggle with is to understand that initially, your Student Congress grades out of 100 points. 75 points for the speech, 25 points for the questions. So if Grant gets 70 out of 75, and then he gets 25 points with his pro, con, and questions, he would still have a 95 out of 100. But when he asks questions, some questions will be good, some questions will be average, some less than mediocre, some just downright terrible. Not that many. When he goes to ask questions, he is either going to earn 1 or 2 points. So he could get a 1-point question, he can get a 2-point question. When he gives a pro or a con speech, and we'll talk about what we mean by those, it could be a 1-point speech, a 2-point speech, a 3-point speech, a 4-point speech. These things get added together to give a cumulative total. So it's not that if Grant asks a bad question, he's going to get a 50%, 1 out of 2. It just means that he's only earned 1 out of the possible 2 points. So if you get a 70 on your speech, and then you ask 10 1-point questions, you're up to an 80. You give 10 2-point pro-con speeches, you're up to, your 100, you're fine at that point. You could potentially get it that way. If you ask really good questions and give really good speeches, you just don't have to talk as much to get the same number of points. Julia?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm like a little bit confused.
I know. So's everyone else. It takes a day.
The pro-con speech, or whatever it is, like your big speech that you're giving in front of the class, right? Is that
Your authorship speech is going to be your really big speech that you're giving in front of the class.
the questions are the questions you're asking other people about their speeches? Like we're getting points for asking.
So I give my speech. Okay, I give, hey, here's my speech. This is why once you're 65 years or older, you need to retake your driver's license because I've seen too many old people cause accidents. So I give my speech. You ask me some questions about it. You are earning yourself points for asking me speeches. And then when I'm done, you go, that was a great idea. I want to come up and support his bill. You're going to walk up, give a pro speech, explain why you're in agreement with me, and earn some points. Jenna goes, no, this is a terrible idea. She's going to come up and give a con speech, and she could earn some points. But I'm mad at Jenna because she's conned my bill, so now I'm going to ask her a question. And now I'm even earning myself more points. It's going to be adding to my total. So after, let's say you're the first person to speak, like to give your authorship, you're not going to have a grade in Student Congress until the end, because I can't put in a grade for you until you've had the opportunity to accumulate your pro, con, and your questions. The one thing I do, and then we'll get to Aiden's question, is I do limit you to 10 graded questions. So once you've asked 10 questions, you can ask more, but you're not going to get points. Because I don't want, I was going to say Carrick, but I feel like I was big on him.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want Carrick to ask 30 terrible questions and accumulate 30 points.
Yeah.
You know, so at most you get 10 bad questions. They get 10 points. Or 0 if they're really bad. But you would have to then give some pro-con speeches. You can, and you see there's a little asterisk, you need 25 points plus a 75 to equal to 100, but I'll let you accumulate up to 30. So if you were to get a 72 on your speech and you accumulated 30 points, you really could get 102 out of 100. So if you give a speech that you earn a 60 out of 75, which would be an 80%, you would still have the potential to earn a 90 out of 100 when you add those 30 points from your pro-con speeches and your questions. At the same time, you could give a 80% speech, a 60 out of 75, never talk, and you'll end up with a 60 out of 100 because you didn't accumulate, other. But the thing that I think folks struggle with is if you give, honestly, most people pretty much go back and forth between 1 and 2 point questions. Most pro-con speeches sit around a 3. I'd say it would be the average score. It's not that you're getting little 75% scores that are going in the grade book, a 3 out of 4, a 3 out of 4. It just means if you give 4 3-point speeches and someone else gives 3 4-point speeches, they just got the 12 points before you did. Towards that bank of 25 to 30 points.
The final grade, you're going to combine the 75 and 25, it's going to be out of 100.
Correct. These are separate little assignments that will be leading up to.
25 are the pro-con questions.
Mhm.
That 25, you're accumulating the whole time with the up to 4 points and up to 2 points.
Correct.
That's not like one thing to be graded out of 25 and you're
No.
getting extra points.
Correct. So later in your packet, and you don't have to rip something out and give it to me later, because I have my own copy of it. I have a rubric. Oops, I had it. Just went away. I have a rubric here where it says speech requirements. I print this out. I'm grading you while you're going. So, you give your speech. I have your total here, 71. You ask a question. I'm just tallying that stuff up as it goes along. And I'll give you updates like every Friday. So, Aiden, you're at 14 points. Ben, you're at 17 points. Nick, you're at 13 points. Just so you know kind of where you're trending toward. But once you fill up this bank, I'm not going to count more questions because you get 10 to ask, 10 questions for points. After that, you need to start doing this kind of stuff.
So a limit of 10 graded questions and the pros and cons.
No limit to these. No limit to these. The one thing, and
30 points is the limit.
pardon?
The 30 points is the
30 points would be the limit, sure. There is going to be a presiding officer, and then we'll get to the other questions here. The big thing for the presiding officer, they're not grading. I'm grading. Okay, I'll be doing that, so you don't have to worry about being graded by another student. The presiding officer is going to keep track of who asks questions and who gives pro-con speeches. So hands are going up. You've asked 2 questions. Carrick's only asked 1. Carrick's going to get to ask the question before you. So it's not that someone's going to be monopolizing speeches or questions every time their hand goes up. If you have 7 questions and people haven't asked yet, you're probably not going to get to ask a question. And I'll do about a 4 to 5 minute time limit, depending upon the speech, of questions. So you might not get to ask a question that you have. Some questions we might go, that's an invalid question. Which we'll kind of talk about as we're leading up to.
It's not it.
That's
The third 30 second
I don't put a time cap, but we try to make it pretty direct. Because what sometimes will happen is people will start turning it into like a speechifying question, where the one phrase for sure you don't want to start with is, "Don't you think that?" or "Wouldn't you agree?" Because basically what you're doing is you're asking a leading question, and you're really making a pro-con speech at that point. So if you're going to do something along those lines, we would say just wait for your speech. I think 30 seconds is pretty appropriate because, after that you're probably getting a little too long-winded. You do have the ability to ask one follow-up question. So you ask a question, you get an answer, which kind of spurs something else on, or sometimes you kind of already have a two-part question. You can do that. The speaker will do a follow-up question, but you can't keep staggering those questions on top of one another. Not total, yeah.
So if you get a follow-up, does that count as two?
Still one question.
Okay.
Now, what does sometimes happen is maybe you ask a and question, but then your follow-up's really good. It could turn your 1-point question into a 2-point, but you're not going to get a double question for a follow-up.
For the pro-con speech, how long?
There is a 3-minute cap to it, so you can't go any longer than 3 minutes for your pro-con.
You said 30.
You said 30.
3-minute. 3-minute cap.
So I have two questions. One of them is, do we have plans for the pro and con response? Do you know what I mean? Like if someone says it and then we want to say we don't like plan ahead of time, right? It's just more of when they're saying this.
Some of you will. Though most of them will be on a whim, but some of you, because you know what everyone's bill is.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, which we're going to go over. So you have the ability to plan things research as much as you want. Most, I think, it's a reaction to what a person has said more so than something else.
And do we? I don't know if you just didn't get to this yet, but how we do topics?
We'll get there. Last thing.
Is the person giving the speech graded on how they answer the questions?
Not really. It would be more of you shooting yourself in the foot, where maybe then I kind of deduct from I used to do like a 10-point kind of how on answering questions. The problem I've had with that in the past is sometimes you just don't get asked as many questions as other people.
Yeah.
If you get a rotten question, you can't really,
Yeah.
so not truly. If you were to say something like totally illogical, then that could kind of get deducted from your argument part of your speech, but that would be few and far between. I couldn't tell you the last time I did something like that. All right. Next Friday. Oh, as you turn your page, there's a chart. There's a grid. Next Friday, you have a quiz on parliamentary procedure that is based from this chart. Your quiz is not an empty chart or, a couple tiles that are left blank and you have to fill it in. But it is certainly based on the stuff that is here. So within Student Congress, we have a variety of motions. We have amendments. We can lay a bill on the table. We can remove a bill from the table. We go to recess, previous question. We have the main motion and all that kind of stuff. So it's letting you know what we mean by it. What's the definition? Well, if we amend a bill, we're changing it. If we lay the bill on the table, we're going to stop debating because it's like the end of the period. We remove the bill from the table. We pick it up the next day. We go to recess, sayonara, we're done. If we are going to previous question, that means we're no longer debating, and now we're going to kind of vote on the bill. So what the quiz is just making sure you understand what these things mean. Does it require a second? So if Jenna goes, I move to lay the bill on the table, we don't lay the bill on the table right away. We need someone to second it, and then we vote on it and all that kind of stuff. So it's asking, do you need a second? For just about everything, you need a second. Is there anything you don't need a second for? Main motion, because we're not going to second, hey, here's your motion, you come up and give your motion. What's different about an amendment? Instead of one person giving a second, in order for it to be second, you need a third of the Congress to second it. So Ben goes, I want to amend the bill. Eric goes, I second, that sounds good. That's not enough. We would need to get probably for us about 4 to 5 people. 15 though, because presiding officer when it counts. The presiding officer though could play a role, depending on who's absent and who's not. If you're presiding officer, you are still going to give a speech. You don't give pro-con speeches. You don't ask questions. You run the show, and you'll get points still in other ways. And I'll just talk to that person individually for it. But you don't get to like challenge other people. However, if there's a tie vote, presiding officer's the tiebreaker. So a person's absent, we only have 14. It's a 7 versus 7 because you can vote for your own bill. Presiding officer could tilt the balance.
Is it just one person that doesn't vote all the time?
Right. I mean, we'll have, and we'll basically it's hey, I want to do it, and then we'll do a vote kind of thing. If you get elected and Aiden is like second, if you're absent, he would take the place. But yeah, that would basically be your role. The only time you wouldn't be presiding officer would be when it's your speech that Aiden would come and fill it.
If everyone's here as the presiding officer, then
I'm sorry, if everyone's here.
if everyone is here, will the presiding officer vote or not?
Wouldn't need to, no, because we would have an odd number. So yeah, he or she would only be up for a tiebreak. So next Friday, open-ended questions about the information that is on the chart. All right, that would be a 15-point quiz. Also for next Friday, and you will have through class on Friday, is your research planner. You are going to draft 5 potential bills that you would want to bring before Congress. So this is your rough draft. You're basically giving me 5 ideas. What you can do for a bill is you can promote or repeal a law that is on a national scale, state scale, local school scale if you want. We're not going global. So we're not like going to annex Canada, make it part of it.
Actually, wouldn't that be an okay
There's
national
all my
scale?
ideas.
We should
You
do
could
Canada,
argue, but
Canada.
we're not going to involve foreign nations with it. This is kind of
We should have
the way
Mr.
it
House
goes.
class.
Can we invade the Vatican then?
I was thinking we shoot it in outer space.
You can argue it.
Take all of yours.
But you're going to come up with 5 potential bills. Now, this is going to be worth 15 points. You're getting 2 points for your bill, and then you're getting 1 point for having a source. Notice it says copy and paste the website's URL address. It says copy and paste because you have a digital copy of this on Google Classroom. Your article or your source that you would find, it might not be in support of your bill, but it could be something that spurs you to think about the bill. So you come across an article, American high school teenagers do not get enough sleep. And so then the follow-up reaction is, well, why don't I get enough sleep?
Because it costs so much money.
Could be phones, so therefore we need to limit phone usage. Or it could be I have too much homework. Ban homework. Homework's
Yes.
no longer allowed. So just because you come up, your idea might not be the exact same thing as the source, but the source would be related to the idea that you are thinking about. All right? So you're giving yourself 5 potential bills. One of these 5 bills would then be what you would ultimately be submitting by next Sunday night. So in Google Classroom, it's already set up for you. If you go to the classwork page, up at the top, I have Student Congress. I have 2 assignments, one that says Research Planner. So when you open it up, it's simply going to be a Google Doc that you can then go in and type in those things and then just be able to turn it in and submit to me. And then the same thing would be taking place with your formal bill submission where you would just be able to type it up and submit it to me. All right, so you don't have to, you can certainly write stuff on here, but you don't have to give me your Student Congress packet or anything like that.
Is the formal bill solution, is that just like one of these that we picked?
Correct.
Basically, okay.
The thing that makes the formal bill different is that it's going to be in much more detail. So if you go to the last page, I know the last page is blank, but if you go to the next to last page, that'll show you how your bill should be set up. Now, to save you time and aggravation, this is only required for the bill that you want to submit. You do not need to do this for every single bill that's going on your research planner. So Aiden could literally write eliminate homework at North Hills High School as his research planner bill. He wants to submit that one. Now he would go into much more detail about it. So everyone would be doing 4 sections, and it doesn't mean you have to put spaces in between. You can still just write it as like one paragraph, but you're going to have 4 parts. So you state what is that new policy. So this is what you're looking to enact. Beginning, starting with the 2019-2020 school year, North Hills High School will no longer assign homework. You'll define ambiguous homeworks. Homework entails and then you would define what it is. Because if you were to say we can't do homework, well, does that mean reading assignments? What about essays, projects? What really counts as homework? So you would define what those ambiguous terms would be. Implementation date, I kind of already took care of that because I said beginning with the 2019-2020 school year. You could choose a specific date. You could also do, immediately upon passing, blah, 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 blah. Make sure that you pick a date that's at least a little bit in the future. It's always awkward for someone to have April 10th as their implementation date and they're giving their speech on April the 12th. Just seems a little awkward. And then the last thing, you'll simply write all laws that are in conflict will be declared null and void. So when our constitutional rights students, go, wait a minute, doesn't this, go against the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution? We can say all laws in conflict are declared null and void. So you're getting rid of the Constitution? Yes. Kind of move on. And then you sign your name, or type your name at the end.
So we do have to have that, basically just.
Yeah, this is the whole catch-all, kind of thing. Now, I do think, even though this is getting done, depending upon what your bill is, if you are changing something, if you are going against a standing statute or law, it's probably good to be aware of that so you can explain why that's going to be okay, but you don't have to worry about being kind of caught in the middle with it. So down below, I have my all individuals 65 years of age or older must be retested in order to maintain a valid driver's license within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That would be part one of my bill. So that's me telling you what my bill is. Since this is my sample, you can't use it, sorry. Then I define ambiguous terms. This includes the driving license of all motorized vehicles, including but not limited to cars, trucks, commercial vehicles, motorcycles, recreational. The test to maintain the driver's license will include objective written exam as well as a road test exam. So I defined my ambiguous terms. My dates are out of date because I didn't update it. But this law will go into effect immediately for all Commonwealth citizens who turn 65 years of age or on June 30th, 2018 or later. Residents have 30 days after the date of turning 65 to complete the required revalidation process. If you're already 65 years of age or older with a driver's license, you have until the end of the year, we'll pretend that says 2019, to revalidate your current license. And then you have to keep doing this every 5 years. Yours probably won't be this lengthy.
There's some weird drivers.
And then, did the all laws in conflict declare null and void, and boom, submit it. So you are only going into that level of detail for the one bill that you submit. The other 5 don't need to be that detailed. The hope is next week as we start kind of researching and thinking about bills, if you know what you want to do, you want to submit that bill right away. So I can go, hey, Nick submitted this. And so anyone who is thinking about it knows that that one's off the table. The hope is that we can minimize people submitting the same type of bill over the weekend, and then you have to go back and make changes. But if we go, hey Julia, sorry, Byron already submitted it, that's why she has the research planner and there's 4 other bills that she can then use. But that means on April 1st, we look at everyone's bill, we discuss them to make sure you know what they mean. You also then have access to the bills, as Nicole was asking about, planning pro-con speeches. You can take a look at the bill and go, we're invading the Vatican? No way. And then come up with your con speech should you decide that that's something that you want to do.
Same thing as basilicas and maybe defensive.
I think we should.
Question? When it comes to, and you have the rubric for it, when it comes to your main bill speech, your authorship speech, I'm giving you the time frame of 5 to 7 minutes because it's just you talking straight. Next week, not next week, we'll wait till after we get the research planners in, or the research planners. I'll give you a speech planner that's going to look very much like the one that you already did for your previous. It'll talk about a 1-minute opening, a 3-minute body, a 2-minute closing. It's not that we're gonna go, okay, 1 minute, move on to your body now. You know, if your opening takes a minute, 15 seconds, fine, because you're moving on in the rest of your speech. But it'll be a similar setup. You're still gonna do a rebuttal. You don't know what the opposing arguments would be, but you can certainly do something, you know. Now, those who think that homework is an important part of, you know, academic life as a student fail to realize, and you can kind of still address what that counter argument would be. So you're going to basically have an implied counter argument of what you expect issues would be. We're still going to cite reference, you know, at least 2 times. You're still going to come up with your works cited page and all those things. We do have eloquence. This time it's 4 pieces of eloquence as opposed to the 3, 2 schemes, 2 tropes, just like we did before. But those can be anywhere within the coursework of your speech. And this was not a problem, so I don't anticipate it being a problem. But if you speak for less than 5 minutes, for every 10 seconds, it's a 1-point deduction, okay, automatically. So if Nick speaks for 4 minutes and 45 seconds, you're 15 seconds short, but since we're going in 10-minute chunks, it would be 1 point off. If he speaks for 4 minutes and 53 seconds, I don't take off a point because he didn't miss a full 10 seconds. Once you hit 7 minutes, we'll hold up stop. We'll give you the 7:10, and after that, we'll go, thank you very much, and then we'll start on. Okay. So as long as you're within that 5 to 7 range, I'm not saying you're going to guarantee 100 points or 75 out of 75, but there would not be any point deductions based on length of the speech. Couple things for your pro speeches. I said you get to speak for up to 3 minutes. Most pro and con speeches, I would say, average about 90 seconds, about 1.5 minutes. Some are shorter, some will be the full 3 minutes. And I'll hold up the time card so that you know. Emma comes up and gives a pro speech. Emma speaks for 1 minute and 15 seconds. That means we can ask her questions for another 1 minute and 45 seconds. So there's 3 minutes of time up here if you're giving a pro or a con speech. If you still have time left on the clock, it's time that we can ask you questions. If Zach comes up and gives a 3-minute pro speech or a 3-minute con speech, we can't ask him any questions because he already used all of the allotted time. 3 people can give a pro speech, 3 people can give a con speech per bill. So it's not that everyone's going to get your say, up to 3 pros and up to 3 cons. So if 4 people have their hands up for a pro speech, sorry, one of you probably are not going to get the opportunity to speak.
They do a little thing about it.
So,
And so the same thing would be happening with the con speech. Overall, the main procedures would be whoever our presiding officer is going to read the bill. So if you, we'll talk about this again when you're getting to your speech, you don't need to mention what your bill is in your introduction because it's going to be read and everyone has a copy of it. So we don't want Emma going, I'm here today to talk to you to present my idea about blah, 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 because we're going to go, we already heard this, we're looking at it, just get into what your speech is. So don't waste your time with that. Well, then you'll give your speech. 5 to 7 minutes, we'll ask questions, probably for about 3 minutes. Then we'll shift to pro. Does anyone have pro? We can go up to 3 pro speeches. After that, we'll go to con. Does anyone have con speeches? And then we'll do a motion to move to previous question. Then we'll vote on your bill. That's basically the way that it goes. Whether or not your bill passes, it has no bearing on your score. You don't get bonus points if your bill passes. You don't lose points if your bill does not pass. Some Congresses pass everything. Some vote everything down. Some alternate. And then we feel like we get stuck in a pattern.
So will there be one speech per period?
The first one's usually a little bit slow because of collecting speech binders, and all that kind of stuff. Once we get going, I would say we average 3 bills for every 2 days. So, get through one, start one, stop, pick it up the next day, and then get another one. It depends how much time we have left. If we can certainly pause in between pro and con speeches. If we have 4 minutes left in class, you're up next. We're just going to go to recess because I'm not going to stop halfway through your speech. If there's 10 minutes left, you're going to go next, and then we'll just finish it up the next day. So And it varies. I mean, there are some bills that we really get stuck on, and there are other bills that are like, oh, we're gonna be stuck on this for like 2 days with amendments, and we just fly right through. Generally, the bills that you think are gonna be controversial,
Yes.
they're not. And the ones that you go, this will be easy, you're like, what in the world just happened? Why are we so worried about road salt? That was a very tense
They
day.
ruined some.
Okay, Julia's gonna do something about the environment.
We don't really need to worry about preparing anything this
Yeah.
weekend. She's like,
No, this weekend, I mean, you might kind of start be thinking about it, but you don't know.
We should Alright guys, let's start.
Up to 3
Let's
pros.
start off the rapid fire.
So on Monday, I'll pass back midterms. We'll have laptops all next week. So really, next week it's kind of accumulating ideas and things like that, so that you can then submit speech planner and your formal bill. We do not have to wait till Friday or Sunday to submit those documents. You can submit them whenever they're done. The one thing for next Friday would be your parliamentary procedure. So this week, bills. Well, next week, we'll be reviewing bills. You'll start coming up with pro-con speeches, working on your own bill. The following week, for April the 8th, that's when we'll get started. We won't worry about selecting a presiding officer till not next week, but the week after.
How do we do that?
I'll do it.
You tell me you want to do it, then we vote.
Yeah.
And then you find out who your friends are, then you are.
Can I actually go?
You just wait. Do that.
But if you know that you're going to be in New York, like Emmy's not going to be presiding officer. She's going to be in New York. She has an Ape Steel trip. She's going to have something else, so we want to make sure you're going to be here kind of thing, because otherwise it's.
Does this go over spring break?
What's spring break?
Yeah, really.
You mean that 4-day weekend?
Yes.
Probably. We would be finishing up everything somewhere around there. I get the sense you guys are gonna use your full 7 minutes for your speeches and your full 3 minutes for pro-con.
Really?
I think so.
It's gonna depend on what I'm starting.
I would think so. As we get close to that, I want to find out how many people are going on this year. And it's like, if we have 6 people, we're not gonna do two. We'll see.